by the map of Wolcott Mill, and we are right here by the parking lot. But in a minute we're going to walk up by the mill and all the buildings, and then we're going to go on this red trail right here in between the mill race, which is this blue part right here, that's water, and the river, which is the other blue part. Remember, on a map the blue is always water. So we're going to go on this red trail right between the mill race and the river. Let's go! Here we are on the bridge at Wolcott Mill. If you look down there, you can see the river. Right over there is the mill itself. Can you hear the sound of the water? I like that sound. Let's go up to the mill. Okay, you can stop now. From here we can see the mill pond and the mill in the background. You see that big wheel on the mill? That's what used to turn the machinery inside and grind up corn into cornmeal and wheat into flour. And now it's just a museum and people can go inside and look and see how people lived in older times. We're coming up to the mill, friends, but this is a cedar tree. Look at its bark. It has very interesting bark. Cedar trees like to grow where it's wet, and their needles are a little bit different from evergreens that we've seen before. They're flat, and they look kind of scaly, so they're really cool. Cedar trees have a nice smell, too. What a nice cedar tree this is. Okay, here we are at the mill. Here's the front door. I think it's closed right now, but that's okay. Over there, there's some wagons and all the machinery that they use to make the wheat into bread and the corn into cornmeal. Pretty cool, huh? Come on, let's go. Look at all the new green things coming up. This is the mill raceway, and that water down there would have gone to the mill at one time, but now it's pretty much still water. So all the new plants are coming up, and down there we have some pretty flowers called grape hyacinths coming up against the fence. So up here on the bank we have some brambles that are starting to get their little itty bitty leaves right here. They're a bit picky, so I'm not going to touch them too much. But the little leaves are starting to grow right here. And then when we look over the side into the raceway, we see duckweed coming to the surface from the bottom. That's that itty bitty little plant that lives in the water. And we see cattails starting to come up and grow new and fresh. And some grasses starting to grow new and fresh. Pretty soon, hopefully, we'll see some turtles and frogs. Let's go see if we can find some. So we're going to walk right under these cedar trees, more cedar trees here, and follow the raceway a little bit farther along and see what else we can find. Come on. Out there you can see some of last year's cattails. They're fuzzy. Isn't that cool? They're fuzzy at the top, but last year they looked like a hot dog on the end of a stick. And now they're starting to get a little bit fuzzy. Soon, new cattails will come up and replace them, and they'll be green and grow all over again. The water level is kind of low right now, but you can see the water trickling down through the sand into the raceway coming out of the hill. And it's making pretty patterns in the sand. There's lots of little birds hopping along in the grass on the other side of the raceway. So I see some skunk cabbage starting to come up on the other side of the raceway. It lives in very wet areas, and so it's starting to come up. It's one of the first things to come up in the marshy areas in the spring. And over here, look at all these little baby leaves growing on this bush. Very small still, but they're starting to come out. We found some sumac. Look at these. They're bright red berries. They're still up there from last year. Now pretty soon new leaves will grow on the bushes and they'll grow new red berries, but the old ones from last year are still up there. Very cool. Look at all the pretty green plants growing under the water. See how this part is eaten away on this tree? I think we've had somebody with teeth was probably chewing on that tree. Can you guess who it was? Now we can really see those bright red berries on the sumac. This is not a poisonous tree. There is a poison sumac, but this is not it. And this tree can grow pretty much in the forest, and it really likes this raceway here. So it's growing right on the edge. And the berries are not poisonous, but they are fuzzy, so I would not advise eating them. Across the raceway we can see all kinds of skunk cabbage and other plants coming up in the forest over there. And then down the raceway we see, well, a robin and some duckweed and other green plants starting to grow. Hi, robin. Now this green stuff is mostly algae. Algae is not a true plant, but it's sort of like a plant. And it grows in water, and tadpoles and other things like to eat it. You can also see across the raceway that there's a little stream coming in You can see the water flowing across the mud there to fill the raceway a little bit more. Look at the tiny little spring flowers coming up from underneath the leaves, just poking above. Very tiny and just starting to wake up. The water's a little bit cold, and I'm looking for my kingfisher friend, but I don't see him today. Sometimes he likes to fly up and down this area looking for little fish to eat, but I don't hear him or see him today. This is a great place to sit and watch the river and listen to it singing. It's kind of shallow here and it's going over some rocks, and the rocks are making the water go swoosh swoosh, and so you can really hear the river singing here. There's a part where the river has branched off, come around a bit of land and come back to join the main part of the river here. So if you look out across the river, you can see where it's rejoining the rest of the water. I think I'll just sit here a while in the sun.
2,000 years later.
Okay, it's time to go. Up here we have a tree called a sycamore tree. It has white bark, and right now it doesn't have any leaves on it, but when it gets leaves on it, they'll be enormous. But it's kind of pretty to look at a big white sycamore when it doesn't have any leaves because of that white bark. Come on, let's go. It's a tiny caterpillar. This is called a woolly bear caterpillar. And he's out on a little walk today in the sun. Be careful you don't step on him. Right here, friends, the river is flowing and it's eating away under the bank. I wouldn't want to step right here because there isn't anything under this bit of land right here, because the water has eaten away under there. That's why these roots are exposed. This is the tree's roots. And they're reaching out toward the river to get water, but they're exposed on top of the soil because when the river rises in the spring, the water would come up here and wash the soil away. So the tree's roots are sticking out of the ground a little bit. coming up toward the bridge. It's right over there. But as we are, I noticed one of the sycamore leaves from last year. Look how big they are. They're bigger than my hand. Wow. And that fell off one of these white-barked sycamore trees right here. And they're falling and making some cover for the little green plants that are down there sleeping in the soil, ready to come up this spring. As we leave the trail from Wolcott Mill, we get to see some beautiful big white pine trees over there in the distance. Aren't they beautiful? The white pine is our Michigan state tree. Pretty cool, huh? And right here at the end of the trail is a lovely little pussy willow plant. A pussy willow grows fuzzy little buds at the end of each branch before it grows new leaves. So you can see those fuzzy little buds at the end of each branch. Isn't that nifty? It's almost as fuzzy as a little kitten. Well, we are done with our tour of Wolcott Mill Race Trail, and it's time to go home now. Have a good day. Bye.